In episode 9 of Serious About Tech, we have part 2 of the cell phone carrier series, and this time it's all about the technology. We also talk about Asus's dual screen laptop. All that coming up in Serious About Tech. Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Serious About Tech. I am your host, Zachary Webb, and today we have several different technology things to get into, but the first is the part 2 of our cell phone carrier series. This is part 2, and it's all about the technology and the certain technologies CDMA, GSM, and LTE. Those are the specific technologies that we will cover. So there are differences in these technologies. We'll get into the technical details here, but here in the US, Sprint and Verizon use CDMA networks, whereas AT&T and T-Mobile use GSM networks. Then there is US Cellular, which also uses CDMA. Now, in most of the world, GSM is used. There's, I think, a few carriers in Asia which also use CDMA, but CDMA is mostly just here in the US. GSM is more the global thing, because GSM is Global System for Mobiles. That's what GSM stands for. So, with the basic differences in these, I'll be using an article from PC Mag. You can get the link for this in the show notes. The show notes will be at bit.ly/SAT9. That will be where the show notes are, or you just go to the website www.seriousabouttech.com and click on episode 9, and the show notes are there. But the basic differences are, and I'll try not to be too technical, but the basic differences are that GSM came before CDMA, but GSM is a time division system. Calls take turns on the GSM network. So your voice is transformed into digital data, which is given a channel and a time slot. So 3 calls on a channel look like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. On the other end, the receiver listens only to the assigned time slot and puts them back together. So that can make a GSM buzz, as it's known, a sound when you put a GSM phone near a speaker, which is kind of different, but that's because the 3G GSM, which will be explained later, says the article on PCMag.com. CDMA is a code division system. Every call's data is encoded with a unique key, then the calls are all transmitted at once. If you have calls 1, 2, and 3 in a channel, the channel will just say 666 666 666. Then the receivers each have a unique key to divide the combined signal into its individual calls. So code division is a more powerful and flexible technology. So 3G GSM, which is used actually a lot, is actually a CDMA technology called WCDMA or wideband CDMA. It requires wider channels than older CDMA, but it has more data capacity, so then it can have better data speeds. Now, GSM has evolved faster than CDMA as there's much more GSM carriers, so there's more money, more everything put into it. So the GSM governing body, the 3GPP, released extensions called HSP and then HSPA Plus, which have sped up GSM networks up to as fast as 42 megabits per second, at least in theory. Now, CDMA networks can't go as fast with their data speeds, so they can only go about 3.6 megabits per second. So the point is that there are different technologies, but most consumers aren't going to see these basic differences, as most carriers are going now to LTE, or long-term evolution. It is a 4G wireless standard. Now, almost all carriers in the world now use LTE for data. There are some carriers that still have their voice and all that go through their basic technologies, either GSM or CDMA, but most carriers now have moved to LTE. So you'll see a lot of phones that have voice over LTE. That means that they're even doing calls over the LTE 4G network. So all four carriers are now doing that. And you could use your Verizon phone with AT&T or T-Mobile, but when you don't have LTE signal, you may not even be able to call or do anything. So that's one of the problems, where all the carriers need to put LTE everywhere on their network so that people who just want to have their phones work from network to network can just have it work. So that's the basic one, and again, the link is going to be in the show notes for that. There is also a new laptop by Asus. So at Computex 2018 in Taipei, Taiwan, Asus Tech announced a new laptop, the ZenBook Pro 15. That is a very nice laptop with top-line specs, but also has the screen pad. Now, this screen pad is a touchpad that you can also use as a touch screen. So it is a secondary display. It can be used as a secondary display to show something else, or it can be used as a control pad for like your YouTube on your main screen or other things like that, or it can be used by Asus to control like your calendar, your alarms, kind of that kind of productivity thing, while also being used as a trackpad, which is really nice. Now, from the places I have heard, like Dave 2D, Unbox Therapy, those kinds of places, it sounds like it feels a lot like a touchpad too, but also is a very nice computer. Now, this thing is going to cost some money though too, but I think it is one of those things that we are going to see more often now. We're going to see more things like this that are very powerful, very sleek, and that also have unique features like this touchpad that can also be another screen. So that is really neat. It probably won't be available for a little while, but when it does, I imagine it will cost some serious cash. Though it has up to a GTX 1050 Ti inside, also has Core i9 processors, is very thin, 18.9 millimeters, says Asus, and weighs only 1.86 kilograms. Now that i9 processor, that's a hexa-core CPU, and those things are just crazy. I have not gotten my hands on one, but they do look like they would be just crazy. Of course, it has all the other things that make it so great too, like the SSDs and all of that kinds of things too. But that screen pad is definitely the main selling point of that computer. So we'll see how that goes. I might update you with the price and availability when I get that. And if in the meanwhile, if you have any suggestions on things for me to cover in Serious About Tech, I encourage you to send those to me via email, Zachary@SeriousAboutTech.com, and I'd be happy to do that. Also, you can find me online. I am on Twitter, twitter.com/TheZacharyWebb. You can contact me there, or the show. Contact the show there at twitter.com/SeriousTechShow. But this episode is brought to you by Webb Services, as I stated earlier. Webb Services is where I will design you a website. I'll make you a very nice, functional website, but for an affordable price. You can contact me today via any of the normal contact methods that I have given you, or via my website, or go to SeriousAboutTech.com/WWS. There, use the promo code podcast10, that's podcast10 at checkout for 10% off, and I would be delighted to work with you. You can also find and support us, this podcast and me, on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/seriousabout-tech, and I'd love if you could support us there, and I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. Remember that you can subscribe on Apple Podcast at seriousabouttech.com/Apple Podcasts. Also on Stitcher, Android, Google Play, wherever great podcasts can be found. And you can always find our stuff at seriousabouttech.com. I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching and listening.